Welcome, Mark, to Big Debates, Tough Talk. Mark is Mark is American. He is studying social studies here in Shanghai, and we're going to be talking.
Teaching social studies.
He's teaching it, but he's always a student.
I did study it. Just
Did
not
study it
sure.
as well, but he's always a student, aren't you, Mark? We're always learning.
Student of life.
Student of life. And we're discussing the motion, without Christianity, the West will fail. Now, Mark, Frontline debated in this motion at the big live debate here in Shanghai, and you won, didn't you, Mark?
According to the votes.
He won according to the votes, he changed the most minds. So let's have a tough talk today for 10 minutes. Have we got the alarm set, Mark? Let's set that alarm. It's a 10-minute alarm, it's a 10-minute tough talk, and we're going to get into it. So, Mark, first, in a nutshell, why are you against the motion, without Christianity, the West will fail?
Blah. That's not a nutshell question. But I mean, the West is what it is. I don't know if it's because of Christianity. I don't know if Christianity, what kind of part it played in Christianity. But the way things are today, there's just no reason for it. Not that there's no reason for people to be Christian. Sure, whatever, go ahead, whatever you want. But it's not like society is going to crumble. The foundations that Christianity offers or claims to offer are not uniquely Christian foundations. They're actually developed, like, if you're going to look at the development of kind of moral philosophy or secular theory around the European Enlightenment, 18th century, is when you start veering away from or weakening the influence of Christianity in government and eventually civil society.
Okay, it's a big nutshell. Let's unpick it. So, you're not sure on the history. Alright, let's focus on today.
I mean,
Or should we talk about history? So the history
is an interesting point.
How much credit then do you give Christianity for creating the West as it is today?
Okay, so I like the question, but I think it's a very, I don't know, the phrasing of the question is misleading. It's like, think of yourself like as a person, as an individual. You say, how important was your 5-year-old birthday party in developing who you are today?
It was a good one.
And that might play a big role or a small role in making your life as increasing the value or decreasing the value that you see in your life today. Christianity did play a role in the history of the West. It certainly did. Whether it's the upsides or the downsides. We can talk about blessed be the meek, or we can talk about the 30 Years' War, whatever. It played a role. But how do you parse that out between like the Socratic method, Greek philosophy, values of the Roman Republic? Like, how do you all of these pieces together have built the world that we've come today? I don't know that I can really say. I wouldn't. But what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't credit it overtly. I wouldn't say like, well, the West we have, our morals, our values, all are because of Christianity. I think that's a fallacious argument.
So it contributed, but you're not giving it full credit, maybe partial credit. But your point is today, it's no longer needed.
Yeah, I don't know that it was ever necessary, but it was a part of history.
Okay, so
and today I would say I don't think it's necessary. We don't need Christianity to build a functioning civil society.
So it's not necessary. Why not?
Well, it's just, I mean, like you could make the same argument for like Judaism is not necessary for functioning society. We have a relatively Western speaking. We have a relatively secular society. Why do we need?
Okay, let me go specific then. Is it necessary, for example, for the family? So, firstly, let's just agree on the premise. Do you agree that Christianity has declined in the past 50 years?
Oh yeah. I don't know what you mean by decline.
In the West.
Number of people who believe.
Number of people who believe, and the
Christianity,
influence it has on life in the West. It's gone down. Other things that have declined, include the family, in terms of the high divorce rates, and the nuclear family has declined also. Would you say that is linked to Christianity? Does the Western family need Christianity?
I wouldn't also say, the way you're describing family has declined, I don't know that I support that, but the idea of family values is not something that I would necessarily credit directly to Christianity. In fact, if you go, and I'm doing my first in-depth read through of the Bible right now, and the kind of family values that are supported by Christianity is not the kind of values that you see in political parties, like saying, like, oh, we support family values, we support, one parent, one father, one mother, and so on. I don't know that those are actually values that, I'm not seeing the connection yet.
So, final push on this. So marriage, for example. Marriage was always under the eyes of God.
Mm-hmm.
You get married under the eyes of God.
Well,
and
you're there. That way.
You're there.
And it also wasn't that way in other places, like Northern Europe, prior to Christianity's conquest. It wasn't that.
Okay, but let's look at life through a 100-year lens,
okay,
for simplicity. Within this 100 years, Christian families would go to church and they'd get married under the eyes of God. And that was something that glued together, was it not? That glued together the family. And that kept parents making the relationship work and looking after the children. And that was that glued by Christian glue? And if we take away the Christian glue, is that one of the reasons we're seeing more single parents and lower reproduction rates?
Well,
is this
the reproduction rate seems to be a function of just what's it called, the demographic transition as nations industrialize and level off. I wouldn't credit that with anything. But with regard to
just to quickly clarify that, so that's an economic. You're putting that to economic reasons.
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
The population increase and decrease over the history of Western civilization. With regard to the whole like families go to church and it binds them together, I think it's a very idealistic perspective. I think for some families they value the same things and it brings them together. Whatever those things may be, Christianity or otherwise, that's gonna bond a family together. It doesn't have to be Christianity. I mean, look at other Eastern nations that shall not be named, with a very strong focus on family togetherness. They don't need Christianity.
We're in China.
just stating that where we are. I don't know. Like I'm in the building too.
Okay, I see the point.
But with regard to that, it also adds, in a lot of cases, whether it's a religious pressure or other cultural pressure, pressures to stay in a family situation that is a very, very unhealthy family situation. Christianity has pressured people to stay in abusive families without the ability to get divorced. Or if they've been pressured, because religious marriage is a sacred institution, they've been dissuaded from pursuing alternatives.
So you're not giving Christianity any credit for keeping the family together, but you are giving them credit for keeping bad, unhealthy relationships together.
I think it really comes down to the individual, but the archetype of marriage is a sacred institution. That kind of title does keep bad, unhealthy families together in a way that's not good for the individuals. Does and has. And that's not to say that without Christianity there wouldn't be another thing that keeps them together. I'm just saying
Okay, but keeping the bad families together if they have children is still bad?
I mean, raising children is not an easy thing to do, and I recently, as I was on vacation, there was a chat group going on about children and corporal punishment, and it seems there's a lot of very, very enthusiastic opinions about raising children. I don't know that Christianity gives by itself a foundation that I would say is any better than anything else.
Okay.
Because I mean, and I guess what we're getting to is like, how do we like build a functioning society? How do you build a functioning family? How do you build a functioning government? Like these kind of questions are all what Christianity is trying to say. Like, oh hey, we have the model for that. But I think it's co-opting a lot of other things that are not necessarily or just not in any way Christian. Like just basic right from wrong. The kind of do unto others idea is co-opted by Christianity because it was put forth in the Bible. But that's not the only place it was put forth. And the idea of...
You would have to explain this term co-opted to me.
So like to say, here there is altruism, there is empathy in human nature. Now, for just there's empathy in other animals. We see displays of kindness that doesn't seem warranted. It's part of our social evolution. And so there is empathy within us. There's cruelty and greed and selfishness, these behaviors as well, but there's empathy, there's kindness. And for religion, Christianity, or otherwise, to say like, oh, well, actually, God gave you that kindness, seems like, it's like, oh, well, now it's part of this religion. Or the idea of do unto others because, as you would have them do unto you. To say that
Is that 10 minutes already?
I believe it is.
That's a long time. We will wrap this up shortly. Keep going.
Just finish the point. To co-opt it means to say like, oh, well, it's not just good in humans. It's not do unto others because humans are, you should and could see yourself in them. You share a common humanity. It's that because religion says so, and that's what co-opting is to me. And I see a lot of that as just basic human decency being co-opted by religion.
I see your point. Let's do a quick 3-minute extension, because I've still got some points I want to get to. It's a 3-minute extension, it's 13 minutes.
And the option for editing is always open.
One thing, no minutes, pure raw. One thing that came up in the debate that wasn't really taken on by any side, but the audience asked it 3 times, so I'm going to ask it to you. And that is, a society, the West, without Christianity, without a shared, united value system, can it survive? Can that survive? And a specific example that was brought up in the debate was the growing rise of Islam in the West. And that is a group of people with a strong shared set of values that may want to impose those values on everybody else. Islam is an example. Maybe it's neo-Nazis, maybe it's me and my gang, maybe it's Scientologists. But how does a society, how does the West, without the binding, the unification of Christian values, sustain itself?
First of all, I don't think unification for the sake of unification is a good thing. I don't think being unified under a set of values makes your civilization superior to, say, another. I do value Western values more than others that I've encountered. It could be my own bias that I've been raised in them, but I try to very actively challenge the things that I've been told, the things that I've been raised, my parents believe.
Let's just very quickly.
With specific to
Western values, let's quickly knock them off. What are they to you? Western values.
The importance of the individual rights and freedoms. Oh man, I just did a lesson on this like last semester. I had them off in my head. Just boom, boom, 1, 2, 3.
Is capitalism in there, maybe?
I guess you could put that in there as under personal freedoms.
Okay.
Separation of church and state.
Separation of church and state. That's pretty good. So separation of church.
I just ejected
freedom.
That off in my mind after the personal freedoms, specifically
personal
like freedom to speak, share your thoughts,
freedom
openly,
of speech,
the freedom to think what you want, to read what you want, to build your own thoughts and not to be told.
So we've got some specific things there that you value.
Personal freedoms are a huge set.
And that the West values. How does the West protect those values?
Freedom to own property.
Freedom of property rights, right.
Yeah.
How does the West protect those values without a shared core set of Christian values?
Well, first of all, not all those are Christian values. Jesus, to my understanding, did not really value the whole accumulating personal property. That wasn't his bag. The whole rich man it's easier for like a camel to get through a needle than rich man get into heaven. But anyway, first of all, I don't think those are necessarily Christian values. There may be some co-opting there going on, but I think those are values that can be met through discussion. I know it's kind of an ideal. It's not necessarily practical to get two groups who strongly disagree and just have a discussion together. Like, what is important to you and why? What do you value? And how do you compare that to other values? And I think that is how you, I guess, inoculate societies or civilizations against this kind of like overtaking or radicalization.
Okay, and finally, we've gone way over the 3 minutes. A quick personal question for you. It's not that personal. You're not a Christian, are you?
I'm not. I don't identify with Christian.
Do you identify as an atheist?
So there's like we get into a real terminological mess here, because a lot of people, and even in a lot of books, it says like atheism means there is no God. That's not what that's not what anyone who like a modern educated atheist identifies as. I'm a person who has not been convinced by any claims of religions.
Okay, but I want to put you in a box, Mark. Give me a name. Is it atheist? Is it non-religious?
Non-religious. So like theism is the belief in a God. Like
and atheism is
not theism. Like do not have a belief
so you're an
in a
atheist.
particular God. I don't ascribe. I see, like terminologically, someone hears the word atheist and they associate it with things that don't necessarily reflect modern
This is
atheism.
true.
But it's a very simple term, but I don't believe. And again, there's Gnosticism. Gnosticism is a knowledge claim. I know that.
Okay.
So an agnostic.
Hold on, Mark. So what are you, Mark? Give me a word.
Agnostic.
Agnostic.
Okay,
yes. Agnostic. You're agnostic. That's it. We've made it happen.
You
so you're agnostic.
Like, why do you try and put like? Why do you need a label for it? I haven't been convinced. I haven't been persuaded by any religious claims so far. Yet I remain open to persuasion.
You're probably an atheist then, but you might not be in the future. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to ask you the hardest question on earth. You ready for it? Because you don't subscribe to a religion. So what's the meaning of life? What's the point in your existence if you're not a Christian? If you haven't got a purpose to serve God and go to heaven? What's the point?
I would argue that that's not necessarily a purpose, but whatever it is that I want. As I would say, the purpose of life is for everybody else is decide what you want. I saw there's this really I can't name the YouTube channel offhand, but they do like kind of cartoon analogies, and they say that there's this new game coming out, and he's doing a review of it, and he says, well, there's a 9-month loading screen. It's like 9 months of pregnancy before the birth, and then they go on like, oh, well, the first X number of years of the game is done in tutorial mode, it's education, and it's funny and critical, but at the end it gets to the point where it's like, oh, well, then you get to the end game, and basically you can just kind of choose whatever you want. Some people pursue the maximizing romance meter, some people pursue maximizing the finance meter.
Okay.
Really, it's up to you, and I kind of see it that way. Is whatever's important to you is what's important to you because it's important to you.
Okay.
And I don't think
Quickly.
there's an objective meaning.
Give me a few words. What's important to you? Then we're gonna close it off. A few words.
What's important to me?
Apart from bashing Christianity, what's important to you?
This was the thing. Important to me is making the world, I guess, a more thoughtful place. A place where people are able to exchange ideas and grow from them instead of retreating to their corners and talking to people who agree.
Mark,
all the time.
Thank you for coming on to Big Debates Tough Talk. We always end these talks with a hug. Bring it in, Mark.
We're gonna get off camera, so we're just gonna get.
Oh, it's it. Thanks a lot, Mark. You can subscribe, you can like, and you can tell Mark your opinions in the comment section below. You can troll it out. Are you a Christian? Are you not a Christian? Do you agree? Do you disagree? See you next time. Cheers, Mark.